How's it going everyone, Andy here from 4K Downtime, back at you with another follow-up video. Now this is a follow-up to my Nintendo Switch 2-year in review video, where at the end, I talked about the kind of like, making a video where I will talk about the top 10 most anticipated game for 2019. So I felt like, now would be the appropriate time to talk about it. So I'm just going to give you, of course, a quick rundown on the top 10 games that I'm most excited for 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. Now, of course, this video feels a bit out of place right now because why wouldn't I make this like, in January or something? But in all honesty, when you really do look at it right now, it doesn't seem like there is a lot of Switch titles, like, during the first half, like, well, not first half, first quarter of 2019, save for New Super Mario Bros. U, which was a Wii U port, and I usually wouldn't include Wii U ports in my most anticipated games because I just felt that's kind of cheating considering it is just a port. And the only real title that Nintendo has exclusive-wise was Travis Strikes Again, which was a title that I've already said I thoroughly enjoyed it. Despite some minor hiccups here and there, it was a game that I did still very much enjoy, despite the fact that that I have issues with. But that's a story for another day. But today I just wanted to talk about again the top 10 titles that I'm most excited for the Switch. So there's going to be a mixture of first-party and third-party titles as well, because believe it or not, Switch does get third-party support, and there's some third-party titles that is coming out to the Switch that I myself am really excited for. So let's just jump right into it. Number 10, Ninjala. Now, this is a game that probably has been discussed the least out of the top 10 games that I have here. Ninjala is a game that was first announced last year at E3, so it wasn't even really announced, it was just playable at E3 to my knowledge, and they've put out a trailer. It's made by Gung Ho. And as soon as you look at this game, instantly what caught everybody's attention, or it reminded everybody, was Splatoon. It kind of has a similar kind of aesthetic as Splatoon, although you're not squids or anything like that. You're basically like kids, or should I say wannabe ninjas. And it's multiplayer centered, just like Splatoon, and you basically blow bubbles, like I suppose they're bubble gums, I don't exactly know what they are, but you blow bubbles, and what it does here is that it turns into weapons such as baseball bats, yo-yos, and anything like that. So the goal of the game is to beat the crap out of each other, and it looks pretty fun. Although I have heard some people said that who has actually played it at E3 show floor, they said it's fun but somewhat limited. Like there wasn't really a lot that you could do at the time. So it seems like it was still very early in development. It's more kind of like just they put together this arena and they just allow you to try out different weapons and stuff. But from what I've seen of it, it looks interesting, and it's funny because I'm not a big multiplayer guy, but when I saw this, it seems very interesting to me, just kind of similar to the whole thing with Splatoon as well. And there's no word whether or not it's going to have a single player because it is multiplayer focused, but I just hope they manage to put in some sort of single player much similar in the same vein, I guess, as Splatoon, that they have your single player even though it's primarily a multiplayer focused game. But needless to say, this game, all we know about it so far is the fact that it's coming out this year. Haven't heard any updates really from Gung Ho ever since they've talked about it last year at E3, so there's been no words. Even in the latest Nintendo Direct, we haven't heard anything. So hopefully this game is still on schedule to come out this year. That's why it's actually number 10, because I just haven't known enough, but it piques my interest nonetheless. Number 9, Mortal Kombat 11. Now, when it comes to MK, I will be brutally honest. After Deadly Alliance, I will have to say my interest in MK has diminished over the years. Like Deception, Armageddon, all of those, I really didn't care about it, especially Armageddon. Despite having such a big roster, I've literally kind of just given up on it. It felt very samey and everything like that. Then MK vs DC, I tried it as well, and I felt like it was okay. Nothing was really grabbing me. This wasn't until MK9 came out, and then I was just like, whoa, this is actually a major upgrade compared to MK vs DC. Character model was a lot better, a lot more brutal, a lot more violent. It's it went back to 2D, and it was at that point I was just like, okay, cool. It seems like NetherRealm Studios onto something. And then after that, of course, MKX. I also got really into it as well. And MK9, the story was actually really good, the way how they told the story and everything like that. And of course, it was followed up very, very well with MK10. And now I'm actually very interested to see how MK11 is actually going to play out. because again, it looks very interesting. Everything I've seen about it so far, because I don't want to see like too much, I just want to see enough to like pique my interest. But of course I saw the reveal for Johnny Cage, which it was really funny. If you haven't seen that character reveal, like go check it out. But yeah, MK11 seems like to be a good fit for the Switch, because like the Switch actually has a lot of fighting games already, so MK11 is just kind of add back to it. But what MK11 is important, at least for me as well, yeah, it's like, again, it's one of those big third-party games that is actually coming to the Switch, and I can't wait to see how it runs. Now, of course, I'm putting it on my Switch wish list. It's because I am planning to buy it on the Switch. Now, I'm going to buy it either way, but I just wanted to see how the Switch version looks like, because there's been no reveal gameplay for it yet. But once I do see it, and if it is a competent port, then I'm more than happy going to like buy it for the Switch. But yeah, this is definitely one of those that I'm looking forward to. Number 8. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. This game, in all honesty, or should I say, just not even this game, the series as a whole, I thought it was dead and buried, to tell you the truth, guys. Like, after not Marvel vs. Capcom, after Ultimate Alliance 2 came out, and it got decent reception and everything, but from what I've heard, it didn't sell very well, and ever since then, I just accepted this fate that this series was never coming back. So then there was like, Activision re-released it again on the PlayStation Store, and at that point I was thinking, okay, you know what, is it coming back, is it not? And then again, a long stretch of nothing ever came out of it, and this wasn't until last year at the Game Awards where Nintendo out of nowhere just kind of showed it at the Game Awards. And then when I saw it, I'm like, what? Because at the beginning you saw the Marvel logo, and then you saw Switch, and okay, cool. And then the moment you keep looking at it, at first when I saw that beginning trailer, I thought it was the Telltale Guardian of the Galaxy game. That's what it actually looks like to me. But then the more I see it, I'm just like, wait, hold on, this perspective is very, very familiar. Is this Ultimate Alliance? And then the more I see it, the more I'm kind of convinced that it is. But the one thing I did not expect to see was that it was going to be exclusively to the Nintendo Switch. And, I mean, first of all, I think it's a perfect fit, because if you look at Diablo 3, it seems to be right there with Diablo 3, kind of like this top-down view, hack and slasher where you could play with up to 4 people. They even said that they will be supporting online multiplayer as well as local co-op as well, and all of that's all good. And I'm always down for these kind of games. But it was just kind of so shocking to me to see this is a game that Nintendo themselves are publishing. It's not even published by Marvel as well, which is quite surprising. But yeah, this is another one of those games that I've always wanted a sequel, but it never happened. Well, it's happening now, thanks to Nintendo. But yeah, if anything, this just got me quite hyped. Everything I've seen about it so far looks really fun and everything like that. It seems to have everything that I do want. I am hoping that they're not limited to just sticking with the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters. Hopefully it'll branch out a little bit more. And fun fact here, when Marvel Ultimate Alliance first came to the Wii, Link and Samus was actually supposed to be playable characters for the Nintendo Wii version. Now, of course, Nintendo got angry over this purely because when they presented it to them, it was showing running on PlayStation platforms. So Nintendo then quickly demanded them to remove it. But now, since Ultimate Alliance 3 is an exclusive, hey, maybe we can see Link and Samus in it. Let's do it, Nintendo. Let's do it, Team Ninja. Oh yeah, and Team Ninja's making it, so yeah, I'm also down for that as well. Let's just hope they actually get this done, because when I saw it back then, I was really hoping this was going to be a thing. Now, I understand why Nintendo was angry, but still, okay, let that be to the past now. This is now. Ultimate Alliance 3, make it happen. Number 7, Mario Maker 2. This one, to be fair, is pretty self-explanatory why everybody's hyped for it. I mean, I'm not much of a creator myself, so when it comes to creating levels, it's not my forte at all. I'm not really going to be creating stuff. However, one thing I am very looking forward to is what every other person could create. When I was playing it back on the Wii U, one thing I liked is about some of those levels, notoriously difficult. I didn't beat more than half of them, but at the same time I saw a lot of creative levels, based on the one, especially all those music ones. If you've ever played Mario Maker, you've seen so many of these musical levels that were very creative. Actually, it just really goes to show the creative side of like what other creators can actually come up with, like, you know, using a lot of the tools that help make these Mario games. And I'm really looking forward to that, like some of the new additions that they've added, obviously underwater levels, slides, and yeah, the Mario suit, the cat suit power up as well. They're all going to be there. I can't wait to see just what crazy levels, like, you know, what these creative level genius minds from other makers could, like, you know, actually create this time. So I'm really looking forward to it. Number 6, Doom Eternal. Now, Doom 2016 was one of my favorite shooters like ever. Like, I'm not even a big shooter guy, and I loved the heck out of it. Loved it so much, the fact that I double dipped with a Nintendo Switch version. Now, knowing that Panic Button is going back to do Doom Eternal right now, everything I've seen looks amazing. Now, of course, we still need to see the Switch build, which hopefully we'll, like, you know, see it soon enough. Maybe we'll see it at E3. Panic Button so far have been doing a phenomenal job in terms of porting, like, you know, games over to the Switch. Stellar job on everything they worked on. Warframe was another, like, you know, success on their part. So hopefully with Doom Eternal, like, you know, we'll see something. Maybe this time they've actually learned a few more tricks to make it, like, you know, run a little bit better. Maybe, like, you know, the texturing could be a bit better. But everything I've seen about Doom Eternal running on the other consoles so far looks phenomenal, man. Like, that sword at the end, when you saw, like, you know, when he's just going, the Doom Slayer going all Jedi on that demon, I was like, I am there. So bottom line, looking forward to it. Just need to, like, you know, see how the footage for the Switch version will look like. Number 5, Luigi's Mansion 3. Not really much to say about this one because we haven't seen that much. We've literally just have the announcement trailer to go by and nothing more to go with. Like, you know, we don't really know anything else other than those really brief footage. But Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon was an amazing game. Loved it on the 3DS, so I thought it was only going to matter of time. Like, it was just a matter of time until we see Luigi's Mansion 3 come on the Switch, and well, lo and behold, it is coming. Hopefully they will expand on the multiplayer aspect of Dark Moon, because Dark Moon actually had a pretty good multiplayer, but hopefully Luigi's Mansion 3 could expand upon it, maybe more modes and add in, like, you know, more additional stuff with it as well. If there's one thing I want about Luigi's Mansion 3 would be that, because in Dark Moon you basically essentially going through kind of like a mission base. You go from, like, you know, mission to mission. I would like Luigi's Mansion 3 to be one interconnected, like, you know, world, like kind of like how Mansion 1 did it, where everything is connected. Like, you're literally exploring this one giant ass mansion. Hopefully they will do that with Luigi's Mansion 3, because I can understand why it was mission based in Dark Moon, just purely because it was actually on a handheld console. But now we're on the handheld and home console hybrid, so hopefully they will go back with, like, you know, having this one big mansion that you just explore all the way throughout the game rather than having missions. That's what I would have wanted. Number 4, Pokemon Sword and Shield. This one is kind of, like, you know, surprising for me. I'm actually surprised I put it as high up on this list as I did. But the more I was thinking about it, the reason why I'm actually hyped for this one, because like, you know, surprising fact here, I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't go so far to say I'm the biggest Pokemon fanatic out there. However, one of the things that got me excited is because this is the first Pokemon game on a home console in a while, because we haven't actually had a home console Pokemon game in a while. The last one I played was Pokemon Colosseum, which I thought was good, but, like, I'm sure if I go back now I probably don't think too highly of it. And then, of course, before I played Pokemon Stadium as well. None of them are bad, but I'm kind of, like, always felt like the home console Pokemon games was kind of like missing the whole exploration of, like, you know, the handheld games. But now it seems like, okay, Sword and Shield is basically trying to bring the 3DS games onto a home console. Now, I have heard, like, you know, criticism such as, like, you know, there's some people critiquing the graphics being not that good. Some people, like, saying that all things like random counters are back. Like, you know, it seems like random counters seems to be kind of like hit and miss with people. Some people, when Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee did it, some people hated it, some people liked it, and, like, again, I feel like sometimes it could be very hard to satisfy fans. But I mean, I myself could see why they went back to random counters, because obviously you're going to encounter a lot of brand new Pokemon here, and if you could see them on the overworld, that kind of, like, you know, takes away the surprise. So I could see, like, you know, that side of the argument. But the reason why I'm excited is just because it's been so long to have this kind of like, Pokemon experience on a home console. And from what I've seen so far of it, I really like what I saw. Like, the environment was a huge improvement over the 3DS games. And overall, like, while not the most impressive looking Switch game, but this is like, Game Freak's first, like, step, of course, like, coming into making Pokemon games for the Switch. Like, this is the first one. I know people say Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was it, but that was more of a remake. This is actually a new game. So I'm definitely excited, like, just for that reason alone, as well as like, the map looks pretty huge this time. Like, it looks way more bigger than any of the other maps before it. So I'm interested in exploring, like, the Galar region. Like, I'm from the UK, so, and I'm also a Londoner as well. So to have it based in the UK and it taking a lot of, like, kind of inspiration from London, it's something that I appreciate. Maybe there's a bit of bias there, but there we go. Number 3, Fire Emblem Three Houses. This is another game that I've been waiting for so long. I really wanted to play it last year, but unfortunately got pushed back, which I was disappointed. But finally, we've got a release date. It's coming. It's still like, a little further off than I would have actually like, liked, but everything I've seen about it looks legit. Similar to Pokemon's Sword and Shield, it's also another game that you haven't had a home console version in ages. Of course, Awakening was amazing, like, followed by Fates as well as Echoes as well. Loved all of them. But I always felt like, what if Fire Emblem finally returned back to a console? And well, finally Three Houses is like, doing that. And everything I've seen so far as well, like, regarding its gameplay, how it's like, you're kind of like a teacher, like, you're part of like, okay, you've got these 3 different kind of like clubs, I guess you could say, where you train like, the students and everything and try to bond with them. All of those are all nice and everything like that. I'm not too sure they're gonna have like the whole like mating system where like, you could mate with like, obviously have children and that kind of stuff. Not sure if they're gonna have that in there, but everything I've seen so far, I'm looking forward to it. Again, I hope it would have like, came out sooner, but it's coming soon. So like, hopefully, the next couple of months I'll get to see a little bit more detail in regard to it, because regarding with the combats and everything, I wanted to see more in regarding the combats. Like the relationship with how he interacts with the schools and the different students is nice, but I want to see more of the combat side of things. So if we get more details on that, that will be appreciated. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Now, between this and my pick for number 1, it was actually really hard, because on one hand, I am so excited for this one. I'm a big Legend of Zelda fan. As a matter of fact, it is my favorite series ever. And Link's Awakening is a game that I haven't played in years. Like, I remember playing it when it first came out, beating it. It was actually a pretty emotional ending. It was actually an ending that so powerful it can actually make you cry. And I'm really interested to see how Link's Awakening's remake is going to like redo that scene. But everything I've seen so far looks, again, it looks super cute, and I like how it has kind of like kind of a stop motion or a claymation feel to it. And it's cute, and like I said, well, I was hoping that they would like, gonna go with this kind of art style, like, not obviously not with Breath of the Wild or what they did. And sure, this is a smaller scale game, and I've already heard people saying that, okay, like Breath of the Wild offer God knows how many hours, but Link's Awakening is only about a 16-hour game, so are they going to charge full price for it? Right now, we don't even know what's included in this remake. Is it just a one-for-one remake, like there's going to be nothing additional added aside from the graphics, or maybe they'll add something more? So price for it at least right now, I think it's really hard to judge just based on like, what we've seen. Again, very brief. All we had was just like a minute of footage. But but the thing is, everything I've seen of it so far, like, how people have been comparing the difference and everything like that, and like, just the look of the game, it looks great. Again, my opinion probably will change, like, depend on what they show later on, but it hit me right there, like, when I first saw it. Even from when I saw the beginning, when it just kind of shows like nothing but water, and then you saw like a boat from a distance, I'm just like, oh my god, this is Link's Awakening, isn't it? Like, so that was a great feeling, and yeah, it's definitely my second most hyped game this year. But there was one more game. There's one game that I'm actually more hyped than this one, and it's, like I said, it was a very close call. So my number one is Astral Chain. I'm a huge fan of Platinum Games. Like, you know, despite Zelda being my number one favorite series, my love for Platinum Game is just like, I can't even really, like, you know, describe it. It's just, I've been a big fan of theirs ever since, like, you know, they were formed with Mad World, Bayonetta, and, like, you know, of course Vanquish as well. But what got me really, like, you know, hyped for this game is, like, again, I like it when Platinum sometimes they don't rely on sequels. Like, that's the one thing, if you look at their portfolio, they don't really have many sequels. Most of their games is usually, like, you know, just kind of like an original IP or just a one-off game. Like, for example, with Vanquish, like, we never actually had a sequel, or Wonderful 101. But what really, like, you know, impressed me the most about Platinum Games is how they could take because they're most known for action games, right? Everybody knows them for action games, but how they could make their games very distinctively different from one another is just amazing. Like, if you play Bayonetta and you play Mad World, you wouldn't say Mad World and Bayonetta play exactly the same, or you wouldn't say Vanquish and Wonderful 101 play the same, or how, like, I don't know, Metal Gear Rising compared to, like, you know, Nier Automata. They all play very differently. They're from the same genre, don't get me wrong, but, like, you know, their combat mechanic plays so drastically different. And I've always, like, you know, been really amazed here how these guys can make their games so distinctively different from one another. Of course, like, you know, Bayonetta 2 is very similar to 1, but that's only because that's a sequel. But any games that isn't a sequel, you just look at their combat mechanics, they just feel so drastically different. And that's what I'm seeing in Astral Chain right now. It's like, when I looked at it, it didn't remind me of Bayonetta. It has Platinum's feel to it. You could tell, like, you know, it was made by these guys, but the whole thing of working with your Legion, it kind of gave me that game that was that Capcom did back then, called Chaos Legion, which, haha, like, you know, they kind of used the same name. But in Chaos Legion, yeah, like, you know, you could summon these legions also to help you out, yeah, and there were different kinds. There was one that was a sword, one that was kind of like a brute, one has Wolverine claws, and you could set them to be offensive and defensive, but you didn't really have much control over them. So I'm hoping that Astral Chain, like, you know, would take some concept like this and make it even better, because it seems like from the gameplay you are fighting alongside them. I'm not sure do you actually have direct control over them, or, like, you know, if you could, like, call them to, again, be on offensive or defensive or anything like that. I mean, the dog one, you could clearly ride on them, which is pretty cool. And one of them that was it, I think it kind of turns itself into a bow, or at least, like, you know, it shoots the ball with you. But all of that is just kind of like doesn't even account for, like, you know, how gorgeous I think the world looks. I think the world looks amazing. It's kind of like steampunk, and I'm telling you, those two characters, yeah, those two main characters, that police outfit is probably the most badass police outfit I've ever seen. And I mean, the story, we don't really know much. I mean, story has never really been the strongest suit for Platinum Games, and that's fine. Like, you know, I don't play their games for story. It's always been about the action, like, you know, the gameplay mechanics and everything like that. And everything I've seen looks really good. Like, Hideki Kamiya is supervising it. So yeah, like, if he's on board, usually if his name is attached to it, chances are it's going to be a pretty damn good game. Like, Hideki Kamiya is a damn good director. So there you go, guys, my top 10 most anticipated Switch titles of 2019. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. This is Andy signing off. Have a good one.